get the best out of our staff, out of our players, and we're going to put something on that field that you're proud of. And I agree with Chairman Caruso. This place is going to be full. This is going to be the mecca of college football. And I don't.
That was Lincoln Riley. I'm Dwayne Douglas, and this is the Student Body Right USC Football Podcast. All right, Trojan fans, the first episode, I'm very happy, the first episode of the Student Body Right USC podcast presented by the Put on Waivers Media Group. I am your host, Dwayne Douglas, and I am this fight on. It's ready to go. I just want to say a couple of things about the show. Really excited about the show. Doing a USC podcast, it's always been something I want to do. I am pumped up, ready to go with it. A couple things. One, this is not a pom-pom show. Do we like USC? Do we talk USC? We love USC. USC football, of course we do. But my guest Phil Robinson's ready to go. But we're gonna break it down. It's not a fluff show. Everything's not rosy. Everything's not right. But right now things are going good. Lincoln Riley is now the head coach of this football team. We talked about we've been talking about that all the time and his impact that he might have on it. I have a sports writer here and podcaster from The Unfiltered Truth, Phil Robinson III, with us here as well. How you doing today?
I am doing fabulous. And not only do I do that, I have also started working with LA Football Network, writing for them, covering USC, and actually joined Alfred Rowe at Salute to Troy podcast. You can find it on Spotify and the LA Football Network YouTube. So that's what I'm going to be doing moving forward, going on. We actually just had a really good conversation with his guy G-Dub about Lincoln Riley in this particular offense. So they got a really good understanding of what it is that they do and what some of their core concepts are moving forward. And armed with that type of knowledge, I might be just a little bit dangerous.
Exactly. So let's roll with it here. I did say, I've said on the Twitterverse that I felt like this is, as a Laker fan, this kind of reminds me of when Shaquille O'Neal came to the Lakers. That's how much of a long-reaching impact it's going to have on the USC program. We still talk about the Shaq days, and the Shaq days brought championships with Kobe. If Shaq doesn't come to the Lakers, does Kobe even get Pau Gasol? Do the Lakers even get LeBron James later on? Like, it has far-reaching, aspects to it. And looking at where USC was in the rankings for recruiting in the hundreds, now in the top 10 in just year one, can we talk about maybe your thoughts on it, Phil? His impact on the Pac-12, his impact on college football, and how this is just the perfect time for him to come west.
So first and foremost, I will answer your question, but I think that before we get to the particular question that you asked me, there's another one that needs to be addressed in terms of what has turned this program around. The NIL has effectively screwed NCAA and given the USC Trojans the opportunity to do what no other college program can do, which is reach deep into its pockets and pay its players. USC was a powerhouse because they were paying players when they weren't supposed to. Now, like they said about the U, those who know don't tell, and those who tell don't know. Reggie lost his Heisman because he was cashing checks. If Reggie was playing right now today, Reggie's entire family is taken care of before he takes a snap in the pros. So Reggie gets more money now than he did when he wasn't supposed to be getting money. So the fact that USC now has Hollywood, the bankroll of Hollywood behind it, the bankroll of the number 2 media market in the country, no other even Alabama won't be able to keep up with that. Nick Saban has got his recruiting class in. He's still going to be able to recruit, but he's not going to be recruiting like he was. California is about to be off limits to Alabama.
Yes.
They will be getting second pick of the litter because USC is daddy.
Yes.
There is nobody, and I mean nobody, who has the recruiting power more above the full power of USC.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah, and there's no question about it. And like you saw, even in the past when Clay Helton was there, people were looking for a reason. Like some of these recruits were looking for a reason to come to USC. Clay Helton really didn't give him that reason, unfortunately. I mean, it's USC. He's going after 3-star, 2-star recruits, trying to run like a, that kind of program.
That's not how we do that.
That's not how we do it on the West Side. It really isn't.
Yeah, we don't do that. We don't do that at SC.
We don't do that at SC.
We do that at a lot of places, but we don't do that at SC.
Exactly.
2- and 3-star recruits. Those guys don't even make the practice squad around here.
Yeah, you have to have like 3 or 4 injuries for those guys to even for those guys to even take the field as far as that goes. Talked about the impact, and you talked about his offense. Now I think when you have a play caller, the thing that we always run to immediately is, hey, he wants to be a fancy passer. Everything he wants, a lot of things what he wants to do is he wants to run the football. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I love about Lincoln Riley is his core belief, and he talked about it extensively in so many interviews with Joe Klatt, whatever. He wants to run the football because he knows that if he runs the football, everything else takes care of itself.
Absolutely, and one of the things, he's bringing a lot of draw with him. He had a really good year at Oklahoma. He's got 2 of his primary skill position players coming. Mario Williams and Caleb Williams are just the 2 of them alone are good enough for 8 victories in the Pac-12. So that's the short answer to the last question you actually asked me. Now, moving forward, the passing concepts are not very complicated. And because they're not very complicated, that means that without a running game, the offense can be very easily stymied. So the running game comes down to a couple different main looks, which is a counter and a power. Mm-hmm. Everything is predicated off of those 2 particular concepts, and they dress them up in a bunch of different formations, but they're running pretty much the same thing. Yeah. Now the rub is, can he block it? Can you get the running back on the ground? Because they don't need much space with how they go about it. If you give them an inch, they'll take it a mile. Yeah. One of the things that USC has always been predicated off was speed, and they had a lot of speed down at OU as well, and so they'll probably have more speed at SC than they did at OU. And if they don't have it yet, they damn sure will next year. It's coming. You best believe it's coming.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely that. And I mean, listen, and that also, you'll see a lot of big plays down the field. I mean, that's one thing that you'll see: big plays in the run game, big plays in the passing game. And the one person you always can't account for is the quarterback. And when you don't, especially when you miss a sack and you don't get that quarterback down, and Caleb Williams is not an easy guy to get down in the pocket. He has great awareness of being able to keep his eyes down the field and still be able to move within that pocket and press the line of scrimmage to make a play down the field or scramble. I mean, he really is he's the full package as far as quarterback goes. I know people are going to say, hey, where's the beef? Where's the lineman? Where's the offensive lineman? They did have one of the transfers is a left tackle from Virginia. So we'll see what happens there. But quietly, they're happy. His offensive staff and his offensive line coaches are happy with what he sees so far with the offensive line. But we talk about Caleb Williams and his ability now. I mean, he just he has that Superman, logo on his Twitter handle. The guy really is. I'm not trying to make him like a flawless prospect at quarterback, because everybody has something that they need to work on, Phil. But he really does, take them to another level as far as his play in the pocket and his ability to be that dual threat quarterback.
Caleb Williams is the best QB that Lincoln Riley has had. If you look at and we're talking about Kyler Murray, we're talking about Baker Mayfield, we're talking about Jalen Hurts, and even this guy going back to ECU. said Caleb Williams is the complete total package out of all of that. He's big, he's strong, he's sturdy, he's fast, he's got a golden arm, he's a good decision maker. At least up to this point, he has proven to be a good decision maker. But judge based off the way that my understanding of the offense, and it's still a little limited. I'm not going to try to say that I know all about it. It's still limited, but I have an understanding of the offense. I don't see any reason why that should change. He's going to continue because what it is they don't run many different plays, but they practice the shit out of the ones that they have. And if you do the same thing over and over and over and over again, you should be able to have it down like a science, and where you can do things based off muscle memory or your read, and the progressive reads make it that much easier. It's not we're looking for this particular front. The routes are designed to beat any form of coverage. So you just read 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And if it's not there at 1, 2, 3, 4, take off. Make something happen. Caleb Williams is going to be a star. Yes. And I selected this picture for a good reason, because I fully expect that before he leaves USC, he will have one of these trophies as well.
Mm-hmm. No question about it. As far as the NIL, all these deals here, like I can't even, I'm not trying to, do you feel like there's anybody in the Pac-12 who could, I mean, they can't compete as far as the market, but who would be the closest team in the Pac-12 who could handle, who those deals would actually be able to, Oregon by far and away is not even close because the Nike thing.
Oregon would be the only one that currently at this time that would be able to compete. Now, theoretically, in a perfect world, if all things considered, the only other team that would truly be able to compete would be UCLA. Yes. Same market. That would be the only team theoretically, the crosstown rivals, who, if they could ever field together a team that looked like it should or would be a winner like they used to have, then they would be able to compete. But even still with that, USC is still closer to Long Beach and Hollywood, and that would ultimately triumph.
Yeah, no question about that. The transfer portal has been very good for the Trojans. Who are you really? I mean, everybody not named Caleb Williams. Like who is some of the pieces that you love that you can't wait to see take the field at the Coliseum?
Mario Williams.
Yeah.
The DBs in the Pac-12, with the exception, I honestly don't think the DBs in the Pac-12 currently, with the exception of maybe guys you'll find on Utah and Oregon, are going to be able to cover him.
Yeah.
I know that my guy Justin Wilcox will be able to put together a fantastic defensive plan and adjustment to try to minimize what he can do, but they just don't have the horses to go with Mario Williams.
Yeah.
And with the familiarity that Mario Williams and Caleb Williams and the coach have, it's going to be very difficult for anybody in the Pac-12 who's not Utah or Oregon to be able to hang with USC.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
that's just the way that it is. They can win. They're good for 8 games off offensive talent by itself.
Yeah. The Polynesian community and recruiting that has always been a huge part of what USC has been about, and they have to kind of make sure they cover that base. Do you feel like this situation will be able to the way they could currently constructed, they'll be able to do that? Because you got to have that.
Sean Nua is going to be a huge part of that particular recruitment behind the scenes. You look at the success that he had in Michigan and being able to bring that to USC. So along with number one of the Polynesian community to assist in the recruiting trail. Because, like I said, there's a heavy base in Southern California, and to keep that, and not only that, but to keep that, he'll actually start to take away from Utah, because Utah's been catching a lot of the Polynesian commits as well. It is set up nicely for USC moving forward. I honestly, truly, and I mean this sincerely, do not expect them to have a single issue with recruiting anyone. I fully expect them to get anybody that they want in the state of California and the state of Texas.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
mean,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. I know I was going to say, the way they're constructing this whole thing, it's everything's in play. Like
Yeah.
every part of the country, they're gonna put that fence. Somebody DM me and was saying like it's gonna be like Wakanda trying to recruit California now. They're not gonna be nobody's gonna be able to find it and get in there. And also, if they want somebody from another region of the country, I mean, I remember. Listen, I didn't grow up in Southern California. I live here now. I grew up in Connecticut, and yes, the first time you come here, it is like the old show that used to be on NBC, A Different World, where you come from when he used to sing sing the thing. Like that's what it's like. And when you first time, if you live in Michigan, you live in the South, you live in Texas, even people who live in nice weather in the United States. You're gonna come to Southern California. You're gonna see walk around campus, walk on that field, and it's gonna be hard to say no. It's gonna be real hard to say no. The coaching staff, I thought it was, absolutely imperative. And you see when a coach takes over, that they're able to, maybe they have their own guys, but then they'll look at the old staff and say, identify, hey, I need one of those guys off of that staff. And I think defensive backs coach and defensive passing game coordinator Dante Williams was a must-have back. This whole thing, what they do defensively, you got to have really quality defensive backs, active defensive backs who are athletic, who can make plays, who are long, who can kind of really shorten up close those windows. Those windows that all these offensive coordinators in the Pac-12 want to have. Can you talk about a little bit about Dante Williams coming back? I think that's a huge get for them as well, because he just knows the landscape. He just is a great recruiter of defensive back talent.
That was imperative. And when I went through the whole staff, and I was like, for what he did as the interim head coach, he deserved to be retained. Yes. And to move on from him would have been wrong. But when regimes change, things happen. You never know. So I was very much excited to see that he was the single holdover, and it is going to make a difference. And it is going to make a difference with the recruits and those who are already on the team, because no matter what we think he can try to do and how many people he recruits, Lincoln Riley is not going to be able to completely turn over that team in a season, in one off season.
No.
So he's going to have to work with what he has, and Dante Williams is the perfect bridge to that gap, on top of being able to recruit just in terms of on the field. And so that should work out tremendously for them. How his philosophy is going to mesh with Grinch's, we'll see that, but it's going to be a different application of how they run defense. So that we're going to see how that turns out. But I, in terms of what it's done for the stability of the program, that was an excellent move and should be very beneficial to him. Not only that, but you keep a coach who's familiar with the Pac-12. Yes. All these other guys are coming from out of the conference. And while they can bring all of that stuff with them, somebody still has to know the conference.
Yes. That's very true. That's very true. It just like in football, it's always nice to have one guy in that staff who knows the division, right? Yes. So and we saw that with the other team that we like, the other football team that we like, where Edgar Bennett ended up staying with the Raiders here when Josh McDaniels took over. So the college football playoff. Now I'm looking, and we are looking way ahead. Spring practice hasn't even started yet. No injuries or nothing like that. So I mean, something could happen at any point as far as that goes. What are other people are saying? Are they going to be? Are they going to be an opportunity for them to get into that playoff
next year? I don't believe that next year. I think they're going to have a year. They're going to have a good year this year. I fully expect them to challenge for the Pac-12 championship if they don't win it outright.
Yeah.
And I expect to see them in the Rose Bowl. Yes. Now, will they make it to the college football playoff? I believe it's going to take at least a year, because I don't know where the defense is. I don't think that Grinch is going to be able to get it turned around in a year. They pulled some good pieces out of it already, but I think that they're going to need to be better. They're going to need more in order to get to that level.
And also, sorry to cut you off. I think when you play the downside of playing in the Pac-12, let's just say they end up losing to Arizona State or something like that, and they end up just beating everybody else. Like, you mean that loss kind of weighs a little bit more on the Pac-12 because there's only really there's two teams, Oregon and Utah. And then it's not like the whole conference doesn't have the same respect football wise as the SEC or another conference out there. So a loss for them almost feels like 2 or 3 if they do lose a game, if they do get upset in some of these games in the conference.
It does. Oregon is carrying a decent amount of weight. They made a lot of noise this year, but the long and the short is that nobody from the Pac-12 is a threat to win a national championship except for USC.
No, that's true. That's right. And is that a little bit of that could be a little bit of a problem for them?
Yeah,
it's what I mean, but it's not on USC's problem though. It's not on SC though. So nothing you can do about it as far as that goes. I would also tell Pac-12 fans, because when I said I was starting this podcast, I got a lot of DMs. I don't thank y'all for the support. I would say that Oregon is what Stanford used to be. I believe Utah is. That pain in the neck, always going to be like almost like a Duke in ACC country, just annoying, fundamentally sound, always in every game. Though that team is going to be annoying to deal with. So always think about that too. If you're a SC fan, like don't take those games for granted against Utah, no matter what he does in recruiting, because those games are going to be tough. So watch those games.
I think you're underselling Utah. Utah deserves a lot more.
Good. But you know how. But I know you and I know that. But you know how some fans are like Utah. We're back now.
USC is going to have to beat Utah. They're not going to luck up into a victory. No. They're going to have to beat Utah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They got to really go. I just know when I hear fans talk, and I want to give them.
You talking to me, baby. I'm not a fan. You talking to me. You know what I'm saying?
I don't, no question about it. I would say definitely make sure that you don't take that game for granted. Yeah. You should be 100% respectful and 1% fearful that even in the future years, that's going to be the top team, one of the top two teams. You say USC and Utah, you're going to have to go beat them. And then there's going to be that weather element too, when you have to go, depending on when the game is in the year. If it's later in the year, you have to worry about that too. So don't think that it's going to be just a cakewalk now that Lincoln Riley's here. I think Lincoln Riley knows that. I think Utah has put enough players in the pros. I think they've, kind of everybody knows, they've had that battle. Maybe they were the second sister or little brother to BYU, but now I think they've surpassed BYU because they can produce players on both sides of the ball. They can play defense, they can play offense, they can do all different things like that. So, and then you can go to the National Football League and see names. Oh yeah, he went to Utah. Oh wow. Oh wow. He went to Utah. Yeah. So be careful with that game. But listen, Student Body Right, USC podcast. Always this channel has USC, the Student Body Right podcast that has the Cover 3D Raider podcast, and myself and Ryan Holmes do the Put On Raiders podcast as well. So if you like the silver and black, and then and also the cardinal and gold, you gotta love this channel. So stay here with that, and I'm sure as the season goes on, we'll talk more with Phil Robinson, who does a great job writing, is all over the place with several podcasts, also doing all that. So before you go, I want to let everybody know where exactly they can find you, writing wise, podcast wise, so we can kind of give you that shout out.
You can find me on LA Football Network, writing for USC. I do a write for the Raiders Ramble. That's where you'll find my Raiders writing. I actually need to get back to the lab and get to work on that with all of the things that have happened in the signing of Patrick Graham. I got work to do for that as well. Primarily, you can find me on YouTube at The Unfiltered Truth. Please like, subscribe, click on notifications. Haven't really established a schedule yet, so we're still kind of sporadic, and I apologize for that. But we are also 23 subscribers away from monetization. And so we're making that push. Please again, like, subscribe, click on notifications, tune in, enjoy the show. We got a couple different ones that we do. A little fan show on Saturday night at 8:00, little kickback, a little drinking, a little trash talking, and it's a good time.
Yeah, no question about it. So that's all. They'll definitely find you there, and
Yes,
we'll talk to you in the future, and also on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
And Salute to Troy on Spotify. That's going to be that's the new thing that I almost forgot. That's the new thing I'm doing with Alfred Rowe.
I'm gonna write that. I'm gonna make sure I get all these in the bio. So you might have to. You're all over the place. That's why you're doing a lot of different things. I appreciate it. All right. Trojans. Listen, Trojan fans. Listen, we got a lot of good stuff. There should be spring footballs around the corner. The ever revolving roster here, but some of the big pieces are here. Lincoln Riley's here. Also, Caleb Williams, Mario Williams. I mean, they are there. Go heading in the right direction. We'll see where they go here on the Student Body Right USC podcast presented by the Put On Waivers Media Group. We'll see you next time. Peace. Hey, don't forget to click on the videos all over the screen to see more Raiders content and USC football content.